Ever wondered why your smartphone has a notch or a hole in its display? Welcome to the world of smartphone design, where every millimeter matters and every feature has a purpose. Over the past few years, you've likely noticed a trend in smartphone design: the inclusion of notches and holes in the display. These curious design features have sparked debates among tech enthusiasts and left many casual users scratching their heads. Why do these notches and holes exist? Are they merely aesthetic choices, or do they serve a functional purpose? And how do they impact your smartphone usage? Well, if you've ever found yourself pondering these questions, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to explore the reasons behind these notches and holes, demystify their purposes, and delve into the design philosophy that drives these decisions in the smartphone industry. So buckle up and prepare to have your curiosity satisfied. Let's dive in and find out why these notches and holes exist. A notch is essentially a cutout at the top of your smartphone screen. This small indentation is more than just a design quirk. It is a crucial part of your device's functionality, housing essential components like the front-facing camera, speaker, and other sensors. The introduction of the notch was a game-changing innovation in the world of smartphones. It allowed manufacturers to extend the display right up to the edges of the device, offering users a broader, more immersive screen experience. Before the notch, these components would have required a substantial bezel or frame around the screen, limiting the amount of usable display. But why put it at the top of the screen? Well, it's simply the most practical and least intrusive location. It aligns with natural viewing and holding patterns, ensuring minimal disruption during use. In essence, notches are there to house important components and maximize your screen space. If notches are the big cutouts, then what are these little holes we see? Well, these tiny cutouts, commonly referred to as holes, serve a similar purpose to notches, but with a more subtle approach. Holes are typically found in the corner or the middle of the screen, and they house the front-facing camera. Like the notch, these holes allow for an expanded display area and a slimmer phone design. But unlike notches, holes are far less intrusive. They take up just a small fraction of the screen, thus minimizing the interruption to your viewing experience. Aesthetically, many find these holes to be more pleasing than notches. They provide a neat, clean look to the phone and allow for a more immersive, uninterrupted display. So holes are essentially mini notches, providing a home for your front camera in a more subtle way. Now, let's delve into the reasons why smartphones have these notches and holes. You see, as technology has advanced, the demand for larger borderless screens has increased. To meet this demand, tech companies had to find a place for the front-facing camera and other necessary sensors. Thus, the notch and the hole were born. Let's start with the screen space. The notch and the hole allow for a larger, more immersive display. They enable the screen to stretch from edge to edge, giving you a bigger canvas for your videos, games, and other media. This is why you often hear the term infinity display. It's all about maximizing the screen real estate. Next, we have the front camera. Selfies and video calls are a big part of our digital culture, and we need a front-facing camera for those. The notch and the hole provide a discrete area for the camera without significantly disrupting the display. In the case of a notch, it can house multiple cameras for better selfies and facial recognition. Lastly, there are other sensors. For instance, there's the proximity sensor that turns off your screen when you're on a call, or the ambient light sensor that adjusts your screen's brightness based on the surrounding light. These sensors need a place to live, and the notch and the hole are perfect for that. Some notches even house advanced sensors for secure facial recognition. So these notches and holes are not design flaws, but rather design features that serve specific purposes. They are a result of the constant push and pull between form and function, aesthetics and usability. They reflect the compromises and innovations in the quest for the perfect smartphone design. And as technology evolves, who knows what the future holds? Perhaps we'll see entirely new solutions. Or maybe the notch and the hole will become a thing of the past. But for now, they're here to stay, making our smartphone experience better and more immersive. So the next time you look at your phone, remember, every notch and hole is there for a reason. You might be wondering, what's the difference between notches and holes? Well, let's dive into it. When it comes to size, aesthetics, and functionality, notches and holes each have their unique strengths. Starting with size, notches are generally larger than holes. This is because they house not only the front camera, but also other sensors like the speaker, proximity sensor, and sometimes even a facial recognition system. On the other hand, holes are significantly smaller as they typically only accommodate the front camera. Moving on to aesthetics, the smaller size of holes gives them an edge in terms of aesthetics for some users. They are less intrusive, taking up less screen real estate, and can often blend more seamlessly into the display. Notches, due to their larger size, are more noticeable. However, this doesn't necessarily mean they are less aesthetically pleasing. Some users prefer the symmetry that a center-placed notch provides, while others like the distinctive look that a notch gives to a smartphone. Now, let's discuss functionality. Both notches and holes serve the same primary function, to house the front camera and various sensors while maximizing screen space. However, because notches are larger, they can accommodate more sensors, potentially offering more features like advanced facial recognition. Holes, due to their smaller size, are typically limited to housing the front camera. However, the smaller footprint of holes means they obstruct less of the screen, providing a potentially more immersive viewing experience. So, what does this all mean? Well, whether you prefer a notch or a hole largely comes down to your personal preference. If you want more features and don't mind a larger interruption on your screen, a notch might be for you. But if you prefer a more subtle design that offers a more immersive display, then you might lean towards a hole. So whether you prefer a notch or a hole comes down to your personal preference. So the big question is, which is better, a notch or a hole? As we navigate this tech labyrinth, it's vital to remember that there's no definitive answer to this question. It's all about personal preference and what you, as an individual, value in a smartphone. So let's break it down. Starting with notches, these little cutouts are often larger than holes and tend to house more than just a front-facing camera. They may also contain a speaker or other sensors that your phone needs to function optimally. This means that notches can offer increased functionality. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Notches can also be seen as intrusive, cutting into your screen and potentially disrupting your viewing or gaming experience. On the other hand, we have holes. These are typically smaller and less noticeable than notches. They're often tucked away in a corner, creating a more seamless and aesthetically pleasing look. But just like notches, they too have their downside. Due to their smaller size, they usually only house the front-facing camera, which may limit some functionality compared to notches. In terms of aesthetics, some people prefer the minimal disruption offered by a hole, while others don't mind the larger notch and appreciate the added functionality. In terms of display, a notch might cut into your content more than a hole, but again, this comes down to personal preference and how much you value an uninterrupted display. So, let's circle back to the initial question. Which is better, a notch or a hole? Well, it's akin to asking whether vanilla is better than chocolate. It's subjective, and ultimately, it's all about what you prefer and what meets your specific needs and requirements in a smartphone. At the end of the day, whether a notch or a hole is better is entirely up to you. We've covered a lot today, from what notches and holes are to why they exist. We've delved into the world of smartphone design, exploring how these small but significant features play a crucial role in our everyday tech interaction. We learned that notches and holes are more than just aesthetic elements. They house essential components like the front camera and various sensors, contributing to the slimness and the overall screen real estate of our devices. We also discovered that while notches tend to be larger, holes offer a less intrusive and arguably more aesthetic solution. Yet, despite their differences, both notches and holes serve the same purpose. They are innovative solutions devised to maximize our smartphone experience. Remember, the choice between a notch or a hole comes down to your personal preference. So choose what works best for you.